like everyone see, right? The topic for tonight's talk, I call it the anti-aging secret for everyone. So again, before I get right down into the talk, let me share a little story with you. Okay, this is the story of one of my favorite person. Okay, I used to call her Ama. Okay, she's actually my late mother-in-law. Okay, my mother-in-law, when she was in her 50s, she was actually diagnosed with a number of chronic diseases, ranging from diabetes, high blood pressure, and so forth. As you see the disease progress, she got weaker and so forth, but that was not the worst. The worst is, of course, when she has a stroke, and the stroke actually rendered her immobile. And then, out of no choice, we actually had to put her into a nursing home. And so for the last few years of her life, right, she was actually immobile in the nursing home, right? I can only imagine every day when she woke up, when her eyes open, she's just looking at the ceiling fan. She couldn't take solid food. She couldn't really move. Even though we try and visit her every time, cheer her up and so forth, but really, when I look at her condition, it really saddens me. And it's certainly not the type of quality of life that I think one should have, especially when, towards our older age. So hence, when I chanced upon this wonderful anti-aging secret, I told myself, I must make this known to everyone that I come across. Hence the title of tonight's talk, right? I think this anti-aging secret is something that everyone must know. Okay. So let me move on now. So this is one of my favorite lines, right? What I am striving after is not to give more years to life, but to give more life to years. After I've ventured into the anti-aging business, this line really gives me a lot of meaning. So I will shortly explain to you why that was so. Okay, now for tonight's talk, again, what we are showing is really general information of people we have known, they have experienced the benefits of it. Again, this does not replace any of your advice from your doctors and so forth. Okay. Now, this was one of the first headlines that caught my eyes about 5 years ago. Right. And I can really identify with it. Singaporeans have the honor of being one of the country where you tend to live longer, really thanks to the great medical systems that we have. However, statistics have shown that in the last 10 to 15 years of that life, it may not be spent with good quality. And it's just like what I shared with you, the story of my mom-in-law, right? She was so bedridden in a nursing home. It's certainly not the type of quality life that we should look forward to in our age, in our old age. And that is really why I'm so passionate in sharing the secrets of this anti-aging with everybody, as I really believe that every one of us should grow old with a life of quality health. Now, let's look at another very interesting fact. This newspaper that was shown in the New Straits Times shows that the number of people who have chronic diseases typically, have three or more of them. In fact, the statistics is a bit scary. It actually shows that the number of people who have these three chronic diseases or more have easily doubled, despite the better medical care we all have now. And I can certainly identify with that. Even my brother-in-law, who's in his 60s right now, has a whole bunch of chronic issues, easily more than three. And I'm sure many of you here this evening can agree with me. And if you think that is only a statistic that is in Singapore, think again. When I pull off this statistic from countries like Cambodia, it actually shows that the problem is very real, right? In fact, Cambodia is now grappling with various chronic diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and I'm sure some of my Cambodian friends here will actually agree. Now, the other thing that is true, like with aging, would be things like this. Now, many of us we look at this picture, right? Now, how many of us actually look like this, but in actual fact, we feel like this? Now, why do we feel like this? This is what we call premature aging. Now, premature aging is really a very real health issue these days. In fact, it is what we term an unstoppable increasing trend. And it's not just the looks of feeling tired. We all know of somebody perhaps in their 30s, 40s, or early 50s who has been affected by one or more of these conditions. In fact, I know I've have personal friends who are like in their 30s, have like heart attack and stuff like that. So, I think in this modern society right now, this is a very real issue. Now, let us look at this. Now, just what I just said, these are just what we call some of the chronic health conditions that we hear about every day that resulted in many of us not being able to grow old with a life of quality health. In fact, I would say chronic disease has now become an unstoppable worldwide epidemic. Now, let's take a look at what we call these chronic health diseases. This is what we really just call the tip of the iceberg. Now, many people think that it's because we have a certain set of conditions, hence we get a certain set of health condition. And because we have different sets of health condition, therefore we get different diseases. However, if we actually look deeper, it must be something that's happening within our body, which is giving rise to all this. In fact, somehow our body system has gone haywire inside, and then over a prolonged period of time, it then resulted in many of us getting these chronic issues. Now, let me share with you next a very interesting video. In fact, it's one of my favorite videos. Wow. Okay. That is, really a wonderful video, and I hope all of you enjoyed that. So let's look at what we call this thing called the cell, right? Now, how many of us know that, you know, okay, let me try. Now, the cell is really the most fundamental building block of our body, right? In fact, each cell is a self-contained living unit which becomes modified, and it's a cluster of these cells that forms what we call tissues. And of course, when the tissues become specialized, they form different parts of organs in our body. And, as we put all this collection of systems together, eventually it forms our entire body. And in fact, the fundamental of cell therapy is very simple, okay? We all will continue to be healthy if all our cells are healthy and they continue to function properly. Okay? Now, hence, if you look at our body, it's very interesting, they basically comprises of roughly about 100 trillions of these cells. And if you kind of think about it, if we have a certain health condition, certainly it must be some cells in our body that is not functioning well. So if you think about it, maybe if the cells in the hearts are not well, then hence it leads to various types of health condition, or maybe if the cells in the lungs are not well, then you tend to get lung respiratory related issues. So if you think about it, fundamentally, there is only one disease, and that is of a cell not functioning properly. So how do cells actually fall sick? Okay. Anybody want to type in some into the chat group? Why do you think cells get sick? Okay. I'm gonna give you a quick 15 seconds to key in. Okay, I see some very interesting answers coming up. So why do cells get sick? All right, let's see whether you've got the answer correct. Now, cells fundamentally has two get sick. Okay, the first thing is what we call deficiency. Deficiency means that the cells are not getting the nutrients that it actually needs to keep itself healthy. It could be from the food that you eat. You're not getting the type of nutrients that actually bring the necessary cellular nutrient to the cells. Hence, your cells are not are kind of weak. Now, the other cause is interesting. Is something called toxicity. Now, toxicity just means that somehow the cell gets poisoned. Okay. Now let's look at what are toxins to cells. Now it's very interesting because toxins to cells are something called free radicals. I mean, you hear a lot about this word called free radicals. So let's just understand what these free radicals actually do. So what these free radicals do is, when they get in the body, they attack our cells, they destabilize them. Some people say, it's like the mistress, the cell is like a harmonious husband, and then the free radicals are like the mistress always trying to grab the husband away. So when they grab the husband away, the relationship becomes unstable. So you can think about free radicals like that, right? The free radicals themselves, they steal certain neutrons from the cells itself and hence destabilize them. Now, under normal circumstances, no problem. Our cell membranes, when we are young and healthy, our cell membranes are able to withstand all these occasional attacks. And this is when our body produces antioxidants. Now, note this word antioxidant, because these antioxidants are basically used like the police. They actually neutralize all these free radicals. Okay, think about it as antioxidants like this police that actually go fight with all these free radicals. Now, however, for some reason, if these free radicals are very overwhelming, like just too many of them, then they can make their way through the cell walls. And once they penetrate into the cell walls, that's where your cells starts to get damaged. Now, these free radicals, they first attack the cell membrane. Over time, if your membrane, gets weakened and cannot withstand it, they create a little small hole. And when you have this little small hole, more and more free radicals get in. And it's when this happens, it starts to cause various damages inside the cell itself. And your cell will start to lose different sets of function. And hence it becomes less effective. And over time, this is when we feel the effects of it. It could be things like, your slowing of digestion, white hair, memory loss, poor vision, hormonal imbalances, you name it, right? Now, you must be wondering, where do all these free radicals come from, right? Now, these radicals, very interesting, comes from a number of things, right? It can come from many sources, especially since over the last 20 years or so, our environment has changed dramatically, right? Even the water we drink gets polluted from like fertilizers, and in many countries, the water is really polluted from all the chemicals that run off the factories. The air is polluted, from exhaust fumes, the burning of fossil fuels, the discharge from companies, or even from the paints and the colors that we find at our home. And then guess what? We have the hole in the ozone layer, so we are exposed to more increased radiation from UV light. And of course, things like, the Fukushima accident in Japan, and guess what they do, right? I mean, now they're discharging the radiation water into the sea, even though they tell you it's safe. And of course, the food that we eat. It's so chemically laden with artificial coloring, flavoring, and preservatives. And many of these are actually, carcinogenic, which means they may cause cancer. And then, of course, the stress. Now, how many of us don't experience stress, right? We experience stress at work from many things, from chasing deadlines, from trying to close deals. Of course, we fear getting retrenched, we stress over parents' health, children's exam, all sort of stress. And sometimes to add on to the problem, we have unhealthy habits, right? We develop unhealthy habits like bad diet, irregular meals, overeating, lack of exercise, drinking, alcohol, smoking. You learn it, right? Now, these are just some sources of where these free radicals come from. And of course, some of you may not like to hear this, okay? We think we cannot live with our phone, our tablets, our Wi-Fi routers, right? We want more Gs, from 1G, 2G to 3G, now even 5Gs and 6G coming soon. And in fact, what happened in all these little devices, we are exposed to what we call small doses of radiation, right? It can be from your cell phone, come from your Wi-Fi or TV. And some of these radiation, scientists have actually shown, right, can actually affect the blood vessels in the brain. And all these, again, are sources of free radicals, and hence free radicals are really one of the main cause of many modern illnesses. Now, let me explain to you why this is so, right? Now, remember when we say when the cells get damaged, what happens, right? So let's some of the things that can happen when our cells get damaged, or what we call the DNA get damaged. Sometimes you get the good genes being turned off, leading to issues like, our body has slower metabolism, we have hormonal disorders, hormonal disruptions. And worst case, we get bad genes being turned on. Now, bad genes includes what? Bad genes include things like cancer. There will be some genetic diseases, maybe like autoimmune disease because your body has gone kind of haywire. And then you get things like fibromyalgia. And guess what? When this thing called the telomere gets shortened, it can also lead to what we call premature aging. And in fact, when the cells get damaged, most of the time the cells will start to repair itself. And it's this repair process of the cell that actually creates this thing called inflammation. So inflammation is not a bad thing, right? I mean, in small condition is the natural condition that the cells go through when they start to repair itself. And typically when the repair of the cell is completed, the inflammation stops. Now, guess what happens if the body is under constant attack and the cells are constantly trying to repair itself? This leads to something what we call oxidative stress. This is really what caused all the cells to be under chronic inflammation. Now, chronic inflammation, in fact, has been linked to many root causes of chronic diseases. In fact, the Times Magazine, in 2004 called this the secret killer. And guess what? Chronic inflammation itself, right, can cause up to 90 different types of diseases. In fact, scientists have discovered that more than 90 types of chronic diseases are actually due to chronic inflammation, right? And this happens when, your cells get damaged, you encounter a lot of oxidative stress. So if we can prevent this chronic inflammation, we can prevent chronic diseases. Now, let me now introduce you to what they call the transformative power of cell therapy. Now, for some of you who think that cell therapy is something new. Now, remember what the saying that I said just now. What I'm striving after is not to give more years to life, but to give more life to years. In fact, it comes from this very famous gentleman called Dr. Paul Newhans from Switzerland. Now, even till today, there's a very famous anti-aging clinic in Switzerland that's named after Paul Newhans. It's actually called the Paul Newhans Clinic, right? And he was the one who first said this line, right? That I strive, not to give more years to life, which means I don't aim to just lengthen your life, but I want to give you more life to the years, which means I want to give you the quality of life, even as we age. In fact, many famous film stars and well-known personalities, right, have undergone cellular treatment in Switzerland. These are just some of the faces of people who have been known to actually go to Switzerland and do their cell therapy treatment. So what is actually cell therapy? Now think about it, as we age, due to many reasons, maybe pollution or stress, our cells keep on degenerating. So hence the newer cells that we produce becomes a poorer and poorer condition. It's just like a photostatic paper, right? If the quality of it is not good, the next piece that you photostat, becomes lighter and lighter. So similar with the cells, right? Over time, the cells actually degenerate. We call such degeneration, of course, aging. Now, a very proper and effective cell therapy must first be able to intercept and prevent the cells from getting further damaged. So a good cell therapy must be able to, fight off all these free radicals that we are talking about, right? Now, after that, it must be able to help the cells to repair and maintain itself. And finally, it has the ability to rebuild and rejuvenate the cell. Now, of course, it's not possible to so-called reverse your aging, but it then becomes very possible to kind of slow down your aging and address many different types of chronic health condition. Now, in fact, what do the rich and famous do? Yes, this is what they do. They fly themselves all the way to countries like Switzerland to get their cell therapy treatment. Now, I guess depending on clinic, it can cost anywhere from US 50K to US about 100 to 150K per treatment session. And you just have to check yourself into a hospital, spend about 2 weeks there, and you have to do it annually to sustain the results. Now, let's now look at some different types of cell therapy, okay? Because you all probably have heard a lot of this word. Now, we start with a very common one, what we call stem cells by implantation. Now, for stem cells by implantation, what do the doctors do, right? The doctors basically take your stem cells. Stem cells are what we call like virgin cells. No, they don't have an identity yet. They extract these stem cells from your fat tissue and your bone marrow. And then they activate those stem cells and then they inject it back to you, so it has to be done via injection into the areas that you want to be healed or improved. Now, this type of stem cell implantation is actually a very specialized medical procedure done by doctors. And normally for treatments for very specific diseases like Parkinson's disease, maybe Down syndrome, or people who are handicapped. Now, then there is what we call the cell therapy by injectables, or what we call stem cell rejuvenation. Now, this is really where all the rich and famous people go to, right? Now, this is used mostly to combat the effects of natural aging process. Now, in this process, a large amount of the youthful stem cells, typically they're extracted from sheep or human placenta, they are injected into the patient, right? And then they are monitored. Now, these youthful cells are intended to replace the old cells, thus allowing the body to work more efficiently by healing itself and reducing inflammation. So these are the ones that actually cost very costly, right? It can cost any time between 50 to 100K, depending on what clinics you go to. And of course, about 15 years ago, cell therapy by oral supplements started emerging in the market. And Celergen from Switzerland is the world's first oral marine cell therapy, which is able to give you the same health benefits as this stem cell rejuvenation, but in a non-invasive manner. Now, think about it, right? If you want to achieve the effects of what all these rich and famous people are doing in Switzerland, how much will you be willing to pay annually to live a life of good health? Now, let me introduce you to the world's first oral marine cell therapy called Celergen from Switzerland. Now, it is interesting because Celergen only has these 6 ingredients and it has been the same formulation since day one. Now, the first 3 ingredients are very proprietary and no one else had it in the world. Now, the remaining 3 ingredients, you may have come across them in other supplements. However, it is the way that it's synergistically blended all together with the 3 first key ingredients that makes Celergen so potent. In fact, these ingredients are what we call at a cellular level, where your cells are able to take them in very easily to be used as building blocks and start to heal itself. Now, what is more impressive about Celergen is really its worldwide accreditation, which I know I've just shown some of the important ones here, which includes, the fact that it's produced in Switzerland and saleable in Switzerland. It's produced under, by a very prestigious big pharmaceutical company, under the same conditions as what they do the medicine. And of course, it has this very prestigious cert, called the BSCG cert, okay, which actually certifies that it is actually drug-free. I will explain a little bit more about the BSCG cert later on. Now, the other thing that's even more impressive is this, right? What makes Celergen is very unique is, the number of independent clinical studies that have been conducted on it to prove its efficacy against different health conditions. And the test is actually carried out by one of the biggest labs, independent labs in Europe called BioHC. And in fact, you can Google them easily enough, or you want to scan the QR code, you can actually get yourself, to find out what type of clinical studies have been done on Celergen, to prove its different benefits. Now, what's even more impressive recently is that in recent years, in order to have Celergen to be approved to be sold in China, we actually submitted Celergen to be tested by the China health authorities, and they tested many hundred boxes, right? And what was interesting is this study. It actually shows that, wow, Celergen has the ability to improve the activity of the immune cells in the body, what they call the NK cells and the macrophage, and hence, boost up the immune system of your body. And also, the test in the China lab also shows that, Celergen is able to energize the body and relieve the tiredness. And as a result of that, we are very proud to say that, today Celergen is really one of the first foreign health supplement approved to be sold in China. In fact, last year in 2023, when we were exhibiting in Hong Kong, right? Celergen was actually deemed, chosen by a panel of doctors to be the healthcare professional choice for outstanding anti-aging brand award. Okay, and we are so proud of it because that's not a title that's easily to come by. Okay. Now let's look at when we say prevention begins, what does Celergen actually do? So Celergen first starts by protecting the cells. Okay, it protects the cells by battling all the free radicals. Remember, I was saying that free radicals are the bad stuff in the body. So, the Celergen itself is a super antioxidant. So the ability for it to remove free radicals is, one of its key benefits. Then subsequently, by providing really high quality cellular nutrients, it helps the damaged cells to repair themselves. It's like when a house is in very bad shape, but if you're able to give the house owner, a good ingredient like good cement, good bricks, and so forth, the owner is able to, start repairing the house, take away the damaged stuff, you repair with good damage. So that's what it does, Celergen does to the cells. The cells are able to take in all these high quality cellular nutrients and start to repair its own damaged cells, right? Now, as a result, once the cells becomes very healthy, right, the new cells that they regenerate becomes healthier. And this is how, Celergen helps the body to regenerate and rejuvenate itself, right? Now, let's look at why is Celergen so powerful. Now, again, comes back to the first three bio ingredients that I talked about just now, which is this. Remember the bio-DNA cellular marine complex, the peptide E-collagen, and the hydro-MN peptides, okay? These three key constituents of Celergen makes it very powerful. Now, so powerful in what else? Let's look at first the bio-DNA cellular marine complex, right? Now, first thing is the three ingredients that you have seen just now are really extracted from the milk. Okay, milk is like the sperm of the fish or wild-caught salmon or herring from the deep sea of France. And before these ingredients are sent to Switzerland, they are specially certified to be free of contaminants. Then these ingredients are then sent to one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in Switzerland, Swisscap, where they then use a Swiss co-processed DNA extraction. Now, this technology ensures that the fish DNA or biopeptides are still biologically active. So that's why for some of you who are taking Celergen now, take note that, Celergen, actually, if you cut it open, the capsule is liquid, it's actually live fish DNA. Now, all this goodness is then encapsulated in a soft gel technology that is not commonly available. And it's this capsule that will actually help to protect the ingredients against the stomach and then later dissolve in the small intestine where the active ingredients are then very quickly absorbed into the body. Now, what are the benefits of this? Okay, the benefits of this will be this, right? Arthritis. You find yourself getting increasing energy levels. Okay, it's super antioxidant. And of course, it come with is, a very superior anti-aging effect. And yes, Celergen has been known, to actually boost the manliness of men. Also, it helps to, increase the passion in women and enhances the heart function. And this is very important. Now, take for example, this is my good friend, Dr. Diona. How was Dr. Diona first, exposed to Celergen, right? They started with her mom, who is a very well-known attorney, okay, attorney Olivia, and her mom has congestive heart failure, and she was unable to walk, and the Western doctors actually, did not give her much hope. But because due to a good friend called Gina who introduced her to Celergen, initially she was skeptical, but she was open to trying. She actually gave Celergen to her mom, and to her surprise, her mom within a very short period, within 1 or 2 weeks, was able to get up from bed, and in fact, her health increased so dramatically that within a month, from lying down in bed, a month later, she was actually able to go up to the stage to get her award. Okay, now that was and since then her health actually has continued to improve. And over the years, her maintenance method, doctors have started reducing it from 10 to now she only takes 3. Okay, and this is actually one of the wonders of Celergen that Dr. Diona has discovered. And now she's so passionate about sharing this, not just to her patients, but all her loved ones. Now, for the next story, I'm going to call upon my good friend Elvin, who first introduced me to this secret, to share with you all, because this is his very good friend. Elvin, would you like to share with everyone, how did Dawn, chance upon this?
Sure, thank you very much. Here you will see the picture of Don Fu. He's a good friend of mine. He's a retired president of a Japanese multinational company. Way back in 2016, you see the date there, 16th of March, he gave me a call. He says that he's been diagnosed with a faulty heart valve. And when the heart valve is not functioning well, there will be a backflow of the blood, and as a result, the heart going to pump harder. And when a heart needs to continue pumping harder, it grows. So in other words, you end up with an enlarged heart. Enlarged heart is a precursor to heart failure problem. Okay, so when he saw Dr. Diona's mother's testimony, that was when he gave me a call, and he says that, Alvin, I would like to try Celergen and see if it helps. Right? Long story cut short, in about 2 weeks' time, he was required by the doctors to do a final test. The final test result, if it's not good enough, he will have to go for an open heart to change the heart valve. Now, he was very worried because his good friend, who was the same age as him, went for such a surgery. He went in but never come out. So he was really very worried. I told him that you take Celergen, and Celergen helps with all our cells' health. Hopefully, it will help him. All of our delight, 2 weeks later, after he did that test, you could see the picture down there, he passed. And the doctor was saying that somehow your condition is turning around. And subsequently, he went for more tests. The doctor subsequently says that, okay, you need only to come back every half a year instead of every 3 months. Then later on, every once a year. And then Celergen allowed Don Fu to delay his heart valve operation for a total of 6 years. So at that point in time, he was in the 60s. He did the heart valve operation finally only in his 70s, 2 years ago, and he's fine. He's a lot stronger. His heart has gone back to normal size, and he's been really, really happy about it. Now he says that in his 70s, when he has a heart valve change, he can have this change heart valve that will last him all the way until, for his whole life. If he had done it in his 60s, he would need to do another heart valve change somewhere in his 80s. So this is a very good, happy story of how Celergen helped us turn around some of the conditions that we tend to be suffering. And hopefully you keep all of us healthy till ripe old age. Thank you. Yeah, back to you,
Wow.
Kate.
Yeah, thank you, Alvin. You know, I personally met Don. I'm always very inspired when he tells me his story. Okay. Now, next meet one of my good friend, Dr. Nelly. Okay, yes, doctor. She is a doctor. You know, so in her 50s, even though she felt, she reached a stage where she felt very tired because there was a lot of work and so forth. And hence, when she was introduced to Celergen by her brother, Chongping, at first she was kind of skeptical, doctors being doctors, right? I mean, they always look at supplements as, but, she was open enough to give it a try. And, y'all can, no doubt see the changes in her, right? Actually after about a year, her patients started noticing the difference, right? And, the two young gentlemen with her is actually her sons who are also doctors. And during the COVID period, actually, Dr. Nelly actually made her sons take Celergen because her sons were all called into action, very tired. They needed the energy. So Celergen also helped to keep, them, healthy and also with full of energy to be able to serve the patients well. I was privileged to have been able to take a picture with her. So that's me in the picture. In fact, here now, I would actually like, one of my good friend from Cambodia, Albert. Yeah, maybe Albert. Yeah, I would like
Mm.
to call upon you to share and see, how has Celergen, you have been on Celergen now for about, I guess, a year or so. But
Yeah,
how
coming
has
to a
actually,
year.
how has Celergen actually improved your quality of life? I think, many of the audience here would love to hear your story.
Okay, just a simple one, because
Yeah.
I was having problem with my sleep because I would wake up about 3 to 4 times every evening to go toilet.
Ah.
Okay, and definitely was the one who passed me the Celergen, and I was skeptical and I never tried it until a month later.
Okay.
Then after I tried for 3 days, 4 days, something changed, and I feel that now I go about 2 times. That's improved. Then
Okay.
as I take for about 3 weeks, I go toilet at once, or sometimes I just sleep through till morning. That was a saving because I
Ah.
think the number of trips you go toilet will make you stress, and you will not have proper sleep.
Ah.
Then that is not helpful lah. But
Mm.
thanks to Celergen, I have done that, and I have introduced Celergen to some of my friends with some
Ah.
problem, and they some of them got good result, but some don't have. But those have good result continue to have Celergen, and they are happy with it.
Mm. That's good.
Okay, my personal view is that I'm not here to sell, but I think if there's something good for us, reaching the age of 60, 40 something, 50, some of them with some problem, they should try. Then they
Mm.
can tell whether it helps or not. Nothing, no harm done. I feel that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if they once they try, then it should help them. Money cannot buy certain thing with a problem. Money cannot. You pay more money, so you cannot get it solved. That's the
Mm.
problem. And if I
Okay.
have listened to doctor and I go into medication, it will be a whole life medication. So actually, I never do that.
Oh, very, very good
Then
advice. Thank you, Albert. I'm sure,
welcome, welcome.
yeah,
Mm.
inspiration to many. And I think you also feel the energy level, right? It enables you to do so many more things and, lead an active life. Thank you,
Thank
Albert.
you, thank
That's a
you.
very good story. Okay. Now let's come to the next interesting ingredient, which is the peptide E collagen, right? Now, what's interesting about the peptide E collagen is, right, is a soluble marine collagen and is lasting peptides. Now, what's important is this. A lot of people just think that taking collagen is good enough. Now, it's not. It's actually what happens is within the collagen itself, right? The collagen and the elastin. Okay, these two must exist side by side. Think about it, is the collagen is like the bricks in a house. The elastin is like the cement that it glues all these bricks together. So one without the other is not good. So in collagen itself, the ratio of these two has been carefully, concocted. So they're actually in the same ratio as what we call the dermis, as like your skin. So it becomes very similar to your human skin collagen. And as a result, if you actually, this peptide E collagen that actually leads to this lady that you see, Mrs. Yeo, at age 35, looks so much better than her good friend Chun Gyok, right? She actually met Chun Gyok on the street, and both of them almost couldn't recognize each other. Chun Gyok was amazed at how come Mrs. Yeo, whose age is so much bigger than her, actually looked better. And then, again, Mrs. Yeo, on the other hand, was kind of surprised that, Chun Gyok was looking a lot older. So what happened is Mrs. Yeo decided that she was going to introduce Chun Gyok to Celergen. Now, let's look at what happened to Chun Gyok after that. Okay, this was before Celergen. Just 3 months later after taking Celergen, you can actually notice the very obvious difference, right? In facial, in skin texture, and so forth, right? So this was actually one of the very inspiring story of what the peptide E collagen can do. And let's just look at Mrs. Yeo. And that was before, 5 years before and 5 years later. And at that time when she took this, she was already on Celergen, right? Look at her 5 years later, she still looks as good. In fact, we always call Mrs. Yeo the prettiest grandmother in Avita. And of course, I was fortunate enough to take photo with Mrs. Yeo, and then she still looks as elegant, as lively, and as vibrant as ever. Okay? So this is one of the big benefits of the peptide E collagen that's inside Celergen. Now next, the third ingredient, which is very key, is what we call the hydro-MM peptide. Now, the hydro-MM peptide, okay, has a proven action to treat photoaging. What is photoaging? When we expose our skins to the sun and other sources of UV radiation, it actually causes a lot of our skin to have like wrinkles, roughness, and no pigmentation. Now, let's look at this lady. This lady is actually Chun Gyok's mother. Chun Gyok, remember the picture just now? And of course, Chun Gyok, when she first experienced the goodness of Celergen, of course, shared it with her loved one. And of course, the loved one was the mom. And, look at her. Just 2 months after taking Celergen, you can actually notice the face starts to look more energetic and more vibrant. And just, 2 years later, look at the difference, right? Still wearing the same pair of spectacles, but there's so much life. There's so much life in their face. Okay, actually see the energy, exuberant with energy. And that's what I really mean a life of quality. And in fact, it was this picture that, inspired me to give my mom Celergen. And thankfully, my mom is on Celergen now for almost 6 years. Right. And, this was a very recent photo of us. I bring her to Spain, and at the age of 86, she's still able to walk and enjoy life, sometimes, this is something that, money really can't buy. You can have all the money in the world, but, you have loved ones cannot enjoy it together with you. What's the point, right? So I'm fortunate that I find that, Celergen keep her, give her such a life of quality where she's still able to travel with me. And we enjoyed Spain together, and it was a really a wonderful time for us. Okay. Now, the other interesting thing is the hydro-MM peptide. Hydro-MM peptide itself also has three natural components which are already very well recognized in the treatment of osteoarthritis and osteoporosis. Okay, two very dreaded conditions, right? In the world, one is where your knees are constantly big inflamed and you feel very painful, and osteoporosis is when the bones actually get more fragile in your old age. So this is Lily. Lily is actually one of my friend's auntie. And when she encountered fracture, the friend then recommended her to take 2 soft gels. And many of you would know that when your age reaches a certain age, the things like a fracture actually gets hard to heal. To her surprise, just a mere 7 weeks later, she was kind of back to doing cooking. After that, she kind of reduced her dosage to 1 soft gel a day. And just another 5 weeks later, she was kind of back to her old self, cooking and so forth. And in fact, I've helped many people, who are trying to recover from their fractures or recover from their injuries by giving them Celergen. And this is has proven to be a very effective way to help your friends who you want to improve their speed of healing. And this is actually my good friend Chongping's auntie. Her story is also very interesting because initially she was scheduled for knee replacement. And you all know that a knee replacement operation is not cheap, right? It can cost anywhere from like 25K per knee. So you have like operation on both knees is easily $50,000 in the surgery. Now, what happened is Chong Peng's sister was actually Dr. Nelly. Remember the very pretty doctor just now? Dr. Nelly then decided that, hey, she was going to put her aged auntie on Celergen. Actually, the initial reason was to strengthen her up prior to her going for surgery. Now, what happened was Celergen improved her knee condition so much that, when she was due for a final checkup prior to the operation, she walked into the doctor clinic. And the doctor first noticed that, wow, her condition has improved. Then she actually asked the auntie in dialect, tia bui tia, whether she feel pain. And I said, no, I don't. Then the doctor suggested that, since you don't feel pain right now, maybe we just postpone your operations and then see how things goes. Wow, I tell you, that was definitely an improvement in the quality of life. And she actually managed to push off the surgery for a number of years. And, that was amazing. So that's what I really mean by giving back quality to life, right? Now, let me introduce another good friend of mine. This is actually Jermaine, one of my very close friend. Okay, now Jermaine, this is Jermaine's story. Jermaine, why don't you share with the audience, your own experience of Celergen with your mom? Jermaine?
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes,
Yes.
I'm Jermaine. Yeah, this is my late mom. When I first introduced her the Celergen on 2019, which I actually first time embarked into Avita business. So my mom, because due to her condition, she are very weak and she was unable to walk. So most of the time, basically, she was just sitting, at the dining dining room. So due to that, the qi and blood circulation is not that good, and she actually have this bed sore, this sore. You can see that, and it gets so serious that I can even see the bone inside. It's quite scary. So I was just telling myself, wow, how I don't know what to do with that. Then I was just thinking that maybe I should let my mom try Celergen, because due to the fact that Celergen have so many, all the function. So I let my mom try. Every day she actually took one capsule. But however, my mom, she also old, 89 years old back then. She can't even swallow. What I did is I actually cut the Celergen and squeeze the ingredient into the water so that she can took with the Celergen together. And the empty cell, I give it to the mate, the helper. You can see here, helper Tun. So as time go by, I didn't follow up. I thought that maybe, maybe I think that is very serious. The only thing that I'm thinking that I want to reduce her pain, because that's very painful. She can't even walk. So I see that as long as 做一个孝女就够了. That's what in my mind. I'm just thinking that be more faithful to my mom, because I want her to have a quality life. So I didn't even notice until this helper actually alert me that, Mom, look at Papa leg, no more already there. That was like, no more. I was quite surprised. After 8 months, because of her condition, old folks, she's not in a very she's quite weak that time. So I look at that, wow, it's actually totally recover. That's what really amazed me. And I'm very, very thankful to Celergen, because it actually gave my mom quality life for that. After that, even though she passed on subsequently, but she never suffer on any illness on that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jermaine. Okay, wow, what a wonderful story. Okay. Other thing with the good thing about hydro-MM peptide, it also reduces the glycemic index by 37%, which means that you eat food, but less of it actually gets converted to sugar, which actually makes it very suitable for people with diabetic condition. And one of the more inspiring story that actually came all the way from Philippines, right? This was actually one of my friend's customer, one of my good partner's customer. She's called Nani. Now, Nani before that, was a diabetic, and he was actually in insulin injection for more than 7 years. In fact, every day she got to, self inject himself. So, of course, initially when he was first introduced to Celergen, he was also rather skeptical. He said, well, okay, maybe I'll just take it because it's good for my health. Now, surprisingly for Nani, I think there must be some genes there that was turned off that actually led her to diabetic. And when she first started taking Celergen, the Celergen must have helped that genes to kind of correct itself because for him, after 7 months, he found that wow, okay, I actually do not need to do my insulin jab anymore, and now he's leading a normal life. So this businessman Nani is always very grateful for Celergen. Now, of course, what happened to Nani is not doesn't happen to every diabetic patient. But for a lot of diabetic patients, their condition do improve, so it may result in, them having to take less dosages, reduce their dosage and so forth. Another very interesting case was actually Mr. Tan. Now, Mr. Tan is from Indonesia, and Mr. Tan was a diabetic. So what happened was his food condition became so serious, as for diabetes, people, wounds can, if you are not careful, the wounds can actually fester. And for him, that happened to his leg. And in fact, doctor was recommended that they actually amputate the leg. But Mr. Tan was adamant that, look, he rather die than have his leg being amputated because he think that, his quality of life was going to be badly affected. So, fortunately, he was introduced to Celergen by a friend, and then he decided to start taking Celergen. And within after a year or so, you can actually see how the wound progressively healed back, right? And Mr. Tan, we have a photo of him in the office because he actually came to office to personally thank us, for introducing Celergen actually into his life. Okay, so for some of you, who are diabetic right now, of course I hope that none of you reach this type of condition. I think Celergen would be a good option for you to consider, to help you improve your own health condition. Now, the other thing I would say that, what's very interesting is Celergen is very complementary to what we call cancer treatment for a couple of reasons. Number one is Celergen itself, because it's extracted from marine cells, right? There is no growth hormones. Now, unlike a placenta-based cell therapy product, there are quite a number in the market. You want to be careful because, sometimes some of these placenta-based extract do have hormones in them, in which case it makes it not suitable actually to be used by patients who are undergoing cancer. Now, the other thing, how Celergen complements cancer is because Celergen actually has the ability to help your weakened normal cells. During chemotherapy, the radiation actually weakens the normal cells. Besides killing, of course, the cancer cells, it actually weaken a lot of your normal cells and affect your immune system. And this is where Celergen comes in and helps your weakened normal cells to very quickly repair themselves, and hence, restore your immunity back. Now, the other important thing that most people feedback is that it gives back the cells energy to the cells. Hence, the patient don't feel so weak. And we actually have a number of very interesting stories because of that. Now, one is, of course, remember what I talked about the banned substance control group cert? Now, if Celergen has hormones, there will be no way it will pass this BSCG cert. Now, BSCG cert is so stringent that, for every manufacturing lot of Celergen, you actually have to send this all the way to US in order to have them test to ensure that, their lot of Celergen doesn't have any of these, what we call drugs, hormones, or whatever it is, right? And that's why for the BSCG cert is what a lot of Olympic athletes look to in order to make sure that, they don't get themselves accidentally caught with drugs and so forth. So Celergen is really something that a lot of Olympic athletes also use to help them recover or help themselves to actually get good supplements. Now, the interesting with Celergen would be this, right? We actually have research papers done, okay? And we actually tested Celergen in the lab environment against two very virulent strain of cancer. One is pancreatic cancer cells, and the other is liver cancer cells. And very interesting, in the lab, what it actually shows that, in a nutshell, in the presence of Celergen, the very aggressive cancer cells, their growth is actually slowed down by the presence of Celergen, and which is very good because then, it gives all your treatment and all whatever radiotherapy a better chance, to fight off these cancer cells, while at the same time, Celergen helps the normal cells to improve their immune system, and hence, so the test actually shows that, we have done different tests and look at what are the different effects. So in the thing is, Celergen is very useful in helping to slow down the growth of very aggressive cancer cells and various different cancer markers. Okay. Now here again, I would actually like to invite Elvin to share, because this is actually Elvin's very good friend. Okay, Elvin, would you like to share with a story of Amy with all of us?
Yeah, certainly. This is one of the most touching user case of mine. Amy was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer. Immediately, she went for mastectomy. And after that, she was put through 14 months of very high dosage of chemo as well as radiotherapy. I was introduced to Amy to see if I could help her. I told her that, when you go for very aggressive cancer treatment, whether it's good cell, bad cell, every cell all get whacked, So it's like atomic bomb that's inside our body. And what is really important is to have some form of cellular nutrition like Celergen that can help the cells to not only repair, regenerate, and also protect themselves. And so that was how Amy started on Celergen at the very beginning of her chemotherapy, followed by radiotherapy. This picture here that you see her showing the hand was on the very last day of her chemotherapy. And that was at the end of the 14 month when the oncologist pronounced her to be cancer-free. So she came to the office and she celebrated her last day of chemo together with all of us. That was really very happy. Since then, 2015 till today, we are very happy that Amy has relied on Celergen, just 1 or 2 capsules every day to keep her cells happy and healthy and regenerating well. She's at the moment still cancer-free, and she comes to Singapore. She lives in Kuching, by the way, so in East Malaysia. She comes to Singapore every year for her medical checkup, her cancer treatment checkup. At the same time, she will pick up her Celergen, and it has been keeping her youthful, healthy, and yeah, it's one of the most happy user case of mine. Yeah, thank you very much, Kate.
Thank you, thank you. And we can actually see the change in Amy, right? She hardly changed over the years.
Yeah,
due thanks to
frozen.
Celergen, frozen in age. Okay. And of course, this is one of our very success case in the very early years of Celergen. This lady is called Ida. When Ida first was coming to Singapore, Ida actually comes from Indonesia, and Ida was actually coming to Singapore for her cancer treatment. And the cancer treatment really left her with no energy, because Ida, before that was really like a social butterfly. She loved going out and so forth. And because the radiation actually makes her so weak, and her whole complexion became looking so dull. And when her friend Ruby, her good friend Ruby, heard about Celergen, actually told Ida, you must come to Singapore and then, try this thing called Celergen. And of course, initially, Ida too was skeptical, right? But, of course, she was open to it. She started trying Celergen. Just after 3 weeks, actually her family and everybody around her actually noticed the change. Of course, Celergen helped her, during the whole cancer treatment, and she became better. Of course, she was healed. Eventually, she also got married. Okay, she got married, and guess what? She actually made her husband take Celergen too, and then both of them are now happily living in Indonesia. And Ida is one of our now very big advocate of Celergen in Indonesia. Okay. Now I'm going to call upon one of my good friend, Florabelle. Okay, Florabelle, are you in? May you like to share with the audience your story, Florabelle?
Hello, yes, yes.
Hi, Florabelle. So nice to see
Hi,
you
hello, hello.
again.
Yeah, I've been taking Celergen since 2019 and it's going to be 5 years. So
Wow.
I'm I have a breast cancer and currently on my 5th year already. I had the mastectomy and also have the chemotherapy and radiation. So during that period, I've been taking Celergen and it helps me a lot because after operation, before operation, first 3 months I already taking Celergen two capsule a day. And after operation, luckily I didn't suffer any difficulty to gain
Mm.
my strength. And after that operation, I continued the chemotherapy, which the medicine is very high dosage, and most of my breast cancer patient, I find that they are really, really weak. But luckily on my side, I was able to sustain the difficulty on this one. Also for the radiation, 35 days every day, I have to travel 2 hours going to hospital, 2 hours going back to my home, and mostly uh, other patient, after they do the radiation, the feeling is they need to vomit and they are so weak. So mostly
Mm.
they are in the what you call stretcher.
Yeah.
But for me, I can even walk outside the hospital to our car and even eat whatever meal I wanted during the transport. So like I'm very thankful with Celergen because I didn't have any difficulty. And this last November, I had my laboratory because due to some medicine I need to take after the operation, I got the fatty liver. And
Mm.
luckily, it is close to normal already.
Wow.
So I'm very thankful and is still continuing taking the Celergen. Yeah.
Thank you,
So that's
Farabelle.
why, yeah, I really wanted to share this to more Cambodian friends that I met.
Yes.
And I hope that this Celergen will also help them.
So happy for you, Farabelle. Yes,
Yeah,
we have
thank you.
many such stories, in Philippines, in different, even in Singapore and so forth. So yeah, so for some of you friends who have friends or family members, who are suffering the effects of it, this is really a way that you can help them, okay, to bring back some quality into their life. Now, of course, what else can Celergen do? Right? Remember the laboratory test conducted in China that shows that Celergen enhances the immune systems, and really because of that, right? Especially during the COVID, Celergen has helped many people, strengthen their immune system to protect against COVID and also to enhance the recovery. And in fact, one of our busiest period was actually during COVID, especially in places like Philippines, when vaccines were in short supplies. A lot of doctors were very stressed and very stressed, which also further, lowered down their immunity. And a lot of them actually end up, resorting to using Celergen to strengthen up their immune system, give them the energy to work. And I think a lot of them, we have many wonderful stories of using Celergen against COVID. And even COVID is not over yet, because I think, in recent months, there's been an upsurge even in Singapore. And that's why I've been actually encouraging many friends to actually use Celergen to strengthen their immune system and also to help them recover fast, right? Now we also have a very good testimonial of using Celergen against autoimmune disease, okay, which includes things like fibromyalgia, lupus. In fact, these are two of my very good friends. One is Angga, who's a businessman in Indonesia, and actually that beside him is his lovely wife Ollie, and Ollie actually has got fibromyalgia. And their story is very well known. After about a couple of weeks of Celergen, um, Ollie, who was in bed for almost 15 years, could actually get up from bed and walk again. And over the number of years, he's recovered, and now Ollie is able to travel. And slowly her health has come back. And this was me with them, I think, during one of our anniversary dinners. Okay, and of course, the lady on the right is Hui Kun. Hui Kun has lupus. So autoimmune disease, in fact, a test that's been conducted in US recently, concluded that 70 to 80% of the patients who were using Celergen has actually demonstrated improvements in many areas of them, from lessening of pain, restoring of strength, and so forth. So you have friends who are looking for solutions for an autoimmune disease, Celergen would be one recommendation. And yeah, this is actually for stroke recovery. In fact, I was just with Mao Mao last week. She was in Singapore to celebrate with us for our dinner. And this is Mau Mau's husband who was actually, hit with a very serious brain stem stroke. And despite 2 stem cell treatment in Russia, it didn't help her that much. And by the introduction of Celergen to Mau Mau, through her good friend Siu Ling, over the years, with the administrating of Celergen, her husband has, progressively got better and better. And this is actually some of the photos. Always very touching to hear Mau Mau's story. Again, if you want to watch the video of Mau Mau, please ask the friend who actually invited you to talk. More than happy to share with you. And the other thing that the Celergen is very good for is actually with battling depression. Some of you will probably recognize that very famous actress there. She was a very good friend of our CEO who actually saw her falling into depression, and she actually persuaded her to start taking Celergen. And wow, within a matter of months, she actually recovered her emotions, she recovered herself. In fact, she was so thankful to us that during our 10th anniversary, she volunteered to perform for free. Her video is actually on YouTube where she actually shared openly with the audience of her journey, battling out from depression, and Celergen was one of her go-to to help her brought her life back to normal. Okay. Now, in fact, here I would actually like to call upon Daphne. I think some of you would know Daphne, to share her story of how Celergen has helped bring quality back into her family life. Okay, Daphne, do you want to share with everybody your story?
Yes, yes. Hi, hello everyone. Yeah, I'm Daphne. Yes, I'm happy to share this wonderful news about my daughter Nico, how she recovering from the insomnia and depression. Since young, she struggled to have a continuous and deep sleep every night. This causing challenging for both herself and of course the family. With the lack of the restless sleep, it lead her to her emotion is always sustainability, and eventually she has depression. And the depression is really make us upside down. Yeah, thanks to Celergen, who introduced to us one my good friend, Jermaine, and now Nicole has improved on her sleep, and very fortunate that after a year and a half to continue taking Celergen, she has very successfully that discharged from her depression clinic. So with the witnessing Nicole positive of the result, I also try Celergen for my kneecap issue, because since young because of the exercise, and I hurt my kneecap, and after many years passed, I have to wear my kneecap to support my kneecap when during walking, not exercise. So after Celergen, a few months later, then I do not have to put the I do not have to wear the kneecap during my walk, and even I can exercise, do yoga, and go to gyms. And I experienced this increased my energy and improve the appearance of my beauty. This is also important. So I'm now very passionate about bringing Celergen to all the Cambodian and to Cambodian. Thank you.
Thank you, Daphne. Really, I really look forward to working with you to bring Celergen to many more people in Cambodia. Okay. All right. So again, these are again some of the cases we have helped with. Yes, there are people who find that their Parkinson improved after taking Celergen. This was again a good friend of my CEO who actually helps out a lot. She's also a very famous conductor of the Chinese music. Okay, Mr. Tan Meng Hao, and he actually has this condition called vitiligo. some of you may know that this is the condition that actually Michael Jackson faced, right? Where her skin gradually loses its tone color. So what happened is when Ming Hao found out about Celergen, she decided to try, and what happened was that gradually his condition actually improved, right? So yeah. Now this is also very interesting. Why do doctors themselves take Celergen? Okay, so yeah, that is a very well written, very well known thing. Now one of the things is, especially in Celergen, it's actually very well documented in many well known magazines. Okay, including the Rob's Report. Rob Report is like the luxury lifestyle magazine in US, where the many of the affluent people read. And in it, you can actually see many recommendations by doctors who have personally experienced themselves, right? The goodness of Celergen, right? These are just some of their experiences. And some of the more noticeable with people like Dr. Kenneth Obet, right? Which says that even though Celergen is not a drug, but yet at the way it works on a cellular level, it not only reverses the aging process, it enables the human body to be fully capable of healing itself. And that's the amazing thing, okay? And it's not just it, like in the Thailand Tetler itself, there are many Thai doctors down there who actually speaks well of the effects of Celergen. And of course, one of our more famous users, this is Dr. Lucero. Dr. Lucero is like the who's who in the Philippines. If you're looking for somebody to do aesthetic surgery in the Philippines or in Manila, he would be the person to go to. And, I always remember Dr. Lucero sharing with me this very interesting thing. He says, with my skills and my ability, if you are 60, I have the ability to make you look like 40 again. Okay, but unfortunately, I don't have the ability to make you feel like 40 again until I found Celergen, and Celergen was my last secret. So what happened is with all the patients that has made them look younger, he then gives them Celergen. Now, the Celergen, when he gives it to them before surgery, not only does it help them to heal faster, heal better, and less scarring, at the end of it, after they recover better, Celergen gives all these patients that new lease of life. Wow, they feel so good. In fact, after that, they all became really, lifelong believers of, Celergen to keep themselves with a good quality, healthy life. Okay. Now, some of you will be asking, how do you evaluate Celergen? Very simple, right? It comes in soft gel form. If this is the first time you are starting on it, and typically if you are of a certain age, there tends to be quite a number of issues, probably quite a number of chronic health issues, and your body probably need a bit more repairing. Then my recommendation is you take 2 soft gels daily. Now, on an empty stomach. Why is that so? Celergen is not meant to be digested, in the stomach. Is designed to be protected against the sun. So the best time to take it is, on an empty stomach, so that the Celergen can travel all the way down to the small intestine. That's when it disperses, and all the cellular nutrient then very quickly goes through the small intestine, goes into the bloodstream, in which case it goes to the area where it needs the most repair. So typically we say that, about 20 minutes before breakfast, when you wake up, take your Celergen. 20 minutes later, life returns to normal. Do whatever you need to do, and that's how simple it is. I would recommend highly that if you want to really let your body go through one healing cycle, take it for at least 3 months. Take it for at least 3 months, then you'll be able to observe the effects of Celergen on various parts of the body. If you look at the little figure on the left hand side, it actually shows that your body takes different times to renew themselves. That's why typically for people who take Celergen, after a month or so, you notice that the skin looks much better, because that's when the skin takes about a month to actually regenerate themselves, right? Now, drink lots of water, right? As your cells starts to heal itself. Remember, about 70-80% of your cells is actually water. So during the process of healing itself, it actually takes in a lot of water. So there's a lot of exchange of water and so forth. So if you don't drink enough water, you might find yourself feeling a little heaty, right? Now, there's also one thing that I kind of recommend people that you can consider to stop all your other supplements and see how you feel. Most of the time, most of my customers right now, they are typically just on Celergen, maybe 1 or 2 other complementary one, but that's all they take. They don't take a whole cocktail of supplements, because when you are able to give nourish yourself from that cellular level, right? You are then able to do a lot of things. Now, remember we were asking how much the Celergen costs in the initial things, right? Now, remember the effect of Celergen is almost equivalent to that of people who actually go to Switzerland for their cell injections, right? Now, at this point in time, if you're in US, Europe, or Middle East, okay, the one box of Celergen retails for US $350 for a box about 30 capsules. Now, good news is if you are in Asia Pacific, we get to enjoy the benefit of it being much more affordable than what you are seeing out there. Okay, so how do you get started? Right now, there are a couple of ways to get started. 6 boxes is typically what we recommend to many people because 6 boxes will be good for at 2 capsules each. A 3-month cycle, you then will be able to see the true benefits of how Celergen has benefited your body. So you can do the youth package to get that 6 boxes. Now, if you are thinking that, hey, maybe this is so good that I'll have myself and my wife at the same time, and both of you, then a silver package may be something you want to be considering. Or, you have a bigger family unit with grandfather, grandmother, and so forth, and, you think you want everybody to start at one go, then consider taking out the family package, which give you the most value for money, okay? And of course, what I want to say is, hey, Chinese New Year is coming, okay? So check with the friends who actually invited you today, right? Find out how to get your additional 2 boxes at a very special price, okay? So remember to ask your friend about the what we call the Spring Feast Celergen special promotion, okay? So, it's bound to delight everybody. So I would just like to conclude here. Now, there's really one thing, in conclusion, there's really one disease. The disease is really your cells not functioning properly. And the solution to it is really cell therapy. And, go for the best of the best is what we call the Rolls Royce of supplement, Celergen from Switzerland. Okay. Now, I would just like to leave you with this little thing. Okay. Now, once upon a time, my good friend Elvin, who cared about my health, shared Celergen with me. And with that knowledge, I took immediate action and I Celergized not just myself, but all my loved ones. Now, tonight, your friend who cared about your health had shared this wonderful anti-aging secret with you. So I say yes to Celergizing yourself and all your loved ones and give them that quality of life that they deserve. Now, thank you. I will now hand you back to my lovely MC, Veronica.
Thank you, Kit. Thank you. Celergen, when I was first introduced to Celergen, tried it on myself, next person, my mother, my partner, my brother. So, I share it with my family and then I spread it out. Good things, good things you always share, right? To your friends and loved ones. So yes, get started on Celergen. Talk to the person who invited you to this evening Zoom, and just and then I tell you, you would not regret because you will feel so much better. Okay, does anyone have any questions for our speaker, Kit? You can either unmute yourself and ask a question directly, or you can type it on the chat. Any questions?
Yeah, just feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions or just type into the chat group. I'll see. Again, if you don't have questions but you have questions right now, just ask the friend who's invited you to the talk, and then they'll be more than happy to channel the questions to us, and we'll be more than happy to actually field any questions that you might have.
Yes, yes, and then coming up next, we have another few talks. Okay, take note of these dates on your calendar. 14th of January, there will be a Celergen talk in Chinese via Zoom. So same time as tonight, 7:30 Cambodian time, 7:30 p.m. Cambodian time, and 8:30 p.m. Singapore time. So invite your Chinese speaking friends to our talk on the 14th of January. And very exciting, on the 31st of March, we are going to Phnom Penh, to Cambodia, to give a talk on Celergen physically. So the Singapore team will be teaming up with the Cambodia team, and we will be holding our first physical talk on Celergen. So invite your friends to this event, and yes, let's make a big party out of it and also learn together. Okay, so before we end, let us all turn on our videos, and we will take a photo so that we can you can show your friends that you attended your very first talk on Celergen via Zoom. So everyone turn on your cameras.
Sorry, there's one question.
Oh yes, yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yeah, someone asking how old can they start Celergen? The age range.
Oh,
Can small kids take
uh,
Celergen?
yes, typically if your kid has a certain health condition, like my boy, actually, when she was at the age of about 7 or 8, I started him on Celergen. That's really because he has a very serious eczema issue. And it's probably a genetic thing. So I actually gave him. But with the kids, what you can do is you can just give him one every 2 days, right? So the dosage need not to be so high. But generally, but if you are trying to take it for maintenance, then I would say in the teenage years, when they start to feel a lot of stress from studies and so forth, then I actually think Celergen is a very good way to give them good nutrients. So even like my boy right now, he's actually on one Celergen a day. Okay. And he's only in his teens right now. Yeah.
Oh, there's another question we saw is it halal?
Oh, yes. So Celergen actually has the halal certification, so that makes it suitable for Malays to take. So we have more than 40 different lab accreditations, okay? And halal is just one of them.
What about which hour is the best to take?
Actually, it's highly recommended you take it first thing in the morning, before your breakfast. I mean, typically my routine is once I wake up, I pop in my Celergen, then half an hour later, life goes back to normal. Okay, life goes back to normal. But if from some of you who has gastric issues, then what you can do is you take your breakfast first, but leave it for about an hour or so when your food has digested, then you take your Celergen, right? There are also
Yes.
people who kind of take it at night too. So, there are different ways, but yeah, that's generally my guideline too.
I saw someone asking why my friend mom's constipate after Celergen.
Yeah. So remember what I said about needing a lot of water, right? That's why I say when you take things like Celergen, you got to drink a lot of water because your cells are mostly made out of water, right? And if you take take Celergen and you don't take sufficient water, what happens is the cells kind of go dehydrate, right? And as a result, it actually leads to constipation too, right?
Oh, some question from Catherine. Any side effect after taking Celergen?
Very interesting question. Okay. Typically I would say you feel better. Okay, most people feel energetic, feel better. But there are a couple of effects which are very interesting. For example, like for people who are very busy, typically maybe after about a week of taking Celergen, you might find that you go through a very sleepy stage. Your eyes just can't keep open. So what happens is Celergen has that ability to know that when your body lacks rest, Celergen will tend to knock you out to take a good rest so that your cells can repair itself. Like for example, one of my friend who has lupus, she described to me that when she first took Celergen, she became so sleepy because Celergen was trying to repair the body, and your body actually repairs yourself when you're in deep sleep. So Celergen was knocking her out to take a long, good rest. So during the period when she was taking Celergen in the initial days, she was just like eating, sleeping, and resting, eating, sleeping, and resting. But after 2 or 3 months of it, when Celergen has gone through one round of healing, she started to feel better and feel normal and that, right? Of course, some people, some people did say that, in the chat group, my side effect is looking younger. Yeah, okay, that's the hazard. Okay, looking younger and you look more attractive. Okay. So yeah, the other interesting thing is when it comes to healing injuries, the other effects that people say that your areas where there's old injuries, you tend to feel more sensation there because intelligence senses that that area is already has injuries and is trying to heal it. So it might result in some sensation in those areas. So take note of things like these, lah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
there's one question also asking, why is it so that after taking Celergen, they don't feel any effect?
Okay, I think if your health is very good to start with because you've been keeping yourself healthy, you exercise regularly and so forth, right? So when taking Celergen, you might not feel that dramatic effect like some of them, right? But what 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 I encourage you to do is if take your markers, right? Take your blood test, take your whatever it is, right? Take it over a period of 6 months. Go and look at your markers, definitely. The other thing most people don't notice, right? Just after about a month of it, go and take back your old photos, put it side by side with your current photo and just compare, right? Sometimes because you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you don't see the gradual changes. Most people after about a month of Celergen will notice, the skin will look bouncier. People say more toing toing, more bouncy type of stuff. And typically when people put the two photos together, you'll notice the differences. Okay. So yeah,
And
it's good
there's a
that
very
you
subtle thing.
yeah.
I think I can say something about that also. When I took
Good,
Celergen,
Veronica. Share.
yeah, when I started on Celergen, I had a very bad knee pain. I couldn't walk down the stairs, but after 3 days, I could walk down the stairs. Okay, but it doesn't mean that the pain was totally gone. There was still pain, but enough, but not bad that it was enough. It was bearable that I could walk down the stairs. Then nothing happened. I still had that little pain. I could walk down the stairs, and nothing happened. But it was 8 months later when I took a blood test. Then I realized that my fatty liver became normal. So your liver, nothing, you don't feel anything in the liver, but it's working inside you. So
Yeah.
Celergen goes to the part of your body that needs it the most.
I
Yeah. So
think
it went to my
there's
knee
one
first and then to my liver.
very subtle discovery from myself, because usually when you look at your nail, when you grow older, the nail didn't grow longer. Okay, so after taking Celergen, I find that I need to cut my nails almost every 1 day or every 2 days. And this is only happen when small young kids when you look at them like my grannies I need to cut her nail every day because it grow very fast. So you can see that your cell is actually repair and regenerate.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Jermaine, for that sharing. Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
another thing you can notice is also your immune system. So I heard this story from a lawyer, right? She was introduced to Celergen by his good friend Joey. Then, after a year or so, he said, hey, no, I don't feel any effect. But that was because she was generally quite healthy to begin with. But then when probed further, he kind of realized that, hey, yeah, actually this whole week, this whole year, I've actually not been to see the doctor, right? He said because before that, typically when flu season comes, you find it's quite normal for him to fall sick. So, your immune system actually gets better. Like most of us who actually take Celergen, we find that, when COVID hit us, if it does hit us, the effect is also very minimal because your body is stronger, is able to fight it off much better.
Okay, one last question is, can help to lighten gray hair?
Again, okay, effects do vary. We get people who has, like, for example, Don, the good friend of Elvin, right? Because he was taking a pretty high dosage of Celergen. Actually his the front of his head, which was bald, actually started growing hair again. Okay, which was actually quite interesting. Yet I've had some customers who had that effect, like one of my doctor friends in Thailand. His was again a pretty interesting story because after 2 or 3 months of Celergen, the hair at the back of his head, which was bald, grew back. Okay, so yeah, take it and then observe for yourself and see. I mean, if it strengthens it and if Celergen goes to work on the hair, I will not be surprised that maybe you'll find that your hair improves itself. Okay.
Could I just add one
Okay.
thing that whatever is visible is like your nail or your hair and all that. But I think what is really important about Celergen is that it beef up our cells' ability to repair and regenerate themselves. And what are invisible are sometimes a lot more precious and important to our health. Right, the ability for our inner body to heal itself, the organs, the tissues, and all, and that is the best guarantee for us to age gracefully, and in fact slows down our aging and ensures that we are healthy from inside out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alvin, for that sharing. All right. If there's no more questions, no worries, just keep those questions coming, with the friends who invited you. We are more than happy to, to answer those questions as it comes along. All right. Thank you, everybody.